Hello and welcome to episode 125 of Show and Tell Returns. And yes, I know we should have had an episode out last week, but due to tech gremlins and all that horribleness, we didn't get anything out because every time I've tried to record with the guys from Now We're Talking podcast, it's just not working. But I'm making up with it with a returning, super awesome, wonderful guest who is bringing a very, very special retrospective on one of his favourite bands. We have Ian from, also known as MC iPod, and the head honcho of Our Real Records.
Thanks for having me back.
You, sir, are always welcome. So we are having a retrospective on one of your favourite bands, and obviously, for those uninitiated who haven't worked it out from the first two songs, we are having a look over the magnificent career of Vanilla Pod.
We are indeed fairly local to us both, I guess, being from Kings Lynn, so very
As
much
I
the
say,
Stanglian boys.
yeah, as I say, it's one of those of I never bought any of their stuff, but I know I saw them countless times when they used to play the marquee.
I'm sure you've seen them a lot of times. Back in the days of Fat Paulies, from then on to Fairybow, Marquee, Owl Sanctuary, I'm sure you've seen them a lot of times.
Yeah, they're definitely one of those ones that they would always be on all of the pop punk and punk shows, and it's like, oh, Vanilla Pod are playing again, and they sort of became a bit of the furniture, not in a horrible way, but you would always see them
I do know
every
what you
couple of
mean.
months.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So you have opened up today. You'd already heard Rebound and Barlam, both wonderfully awesome songs. Um, so obviously, I have to ask a question. With
Yep.
the order of the playlist, um, was there any sort of rhyme and reason on why you opened up with Rebound and Barlam?
Yeah, it's all chronological.
We like this. I
So
like.
Rebound was Vanilla Pod's first single, which came out as a 7-inch in 1996.
Oh,
So
back when I was 14.
you're older than me.
Oh no, it wasn't 13.
Oh, still,
Yes.
I would have been 12. I never realized you're older than me. Anyway, the listeners don't need to know that. But yeah, so this would have been Vanilla Pod's first single. Yeah, out on the 7-inch in 1996 and was then on their first album, Trigger, which came out a year later in 97. So I thought we'd start from the very beginning. And then
Which
the
is always
second
a
song,
wonderful place to start.
it seems like it makes sense, right?
Exactly.
And then, yeah, the second song we heard was Bar Lamb, which was off their second album, Faster Disco, which came out in 1999. And that was one of those tracks that became a bit of a live anthem that everyone would want to hear long after the band stopped wanting to play it. But, you just kind of have to keep doing it. And they sort of did stop playing it for a while. And then they resurrected it for the last few shows. So it was nice to hear that again. So, yeah, that was
As I say,
Rebound and Bar Lamb, some 20-plus-year-old songs.
I think sort of 99 was probably one around the first sort of times I saw them play, which would have been in that wonderful shithole that was Fat Paulie's. I
Yeah,
don't know
sounds about right.
whatever made us ever going to that place. Let's go to the underground hole in the car park at Anglia Square.
Yeah, which if you're not from Norwich, you will know Anglia Square from Alan Partridge.
Exactly. But yeah, it was one of the dubs, but it sort of ties into where I was this week. I went to see Les and Jake, Real Big Fish, and Zebrahead at the UEA,
Yeah,
and Les and Jake were going on about, oh, who remembers seeing us at the waterfront in 2000? And I was like, yeah, I remember seeing you in Fat Paulie's in '99.
yeah.
So, it's one of those of like that place. I think actually Vanilla Pod may have supported Les and Jake. I'm
That
pretty sure
sounds
it was
about right.
local support that was with them because it wasn't anyone big. So that's
Yeah,
probably the first time I saw them was when was with Les and Jake
Vanilla
all
Pod and
those
Goober Patrol,
years
probably.
ago. Probably, yeah. But yeah, many, many, many moons ago. So next we have a few more ditties.
Yeah, so the next
Um,
two. are, at least from this millennium, they are from 2001's album Third Time Lucky, which was obviously their third album. So we have Dead End Town and Made Mistakes. So two of my, I mean, the whole album's great, but I sort of had to limit myself to just picking two. So I went for these because especially Dead End Town's another one of those big like live hits that everyone, expects you to play. So I thought I'll definitely go for that one. And Made Mistakes is just one of those album tracks that I really love. And yeah, this was I think when I first heard Vanilla Pod would have been around the time this album had come out.
Mm.
So this was kind of my introduction to them as a band. So these are songs that have the fond memories for myself. But yeah, it was 2001's Third Time Lucky, and the songs I've chosen are Dead End Town and Made Mistakes.
And you then, in the last bit of this run, have Water Down as well, which is, I remember seeing them, because obviously I was listening to this earlier when you sent me over the playlist,
Yeah,
and I was like, that was one of the ones I always remember them playing live, Water Down.
yeah,
Always sort of back end of a set list, many a time in the marquee. Normally, because obviously if they were playing and I was working, I would always sort of try and get in for glass collecting, as I'd
oh
call
yeah,
it,
of course,
for that sort of last 15, 20 minutes of any set.
yeah,
Because it would always take me that long to get those glasses
of course. It was
and
they
dance.
need get the nooks and crannies where those glasses could have been. I'm surprised you managed to find all of them.
We'd always
Good
manage.
work, good work.
So we have Dead End Town, Made Mistake, and Water Down, and we'll be back very shortly with some more. So we are back
Cool.
with some more. We have probably my favorite Vanilla Pod song. I don't know how you managed to pick my favorite song, but you did with Surrounded by Idiots.
It's another one of the big hits off the album, also called Surrounded by Idiots, which is from 2003, which is the album Water Down's from as well. So Surrounded by Idiots, if I had to pick a favorite Vanilla Pod album, would be Surrounded by Idiots. That'd be the one. And my initial playlist had a few too many songs off this album, which I had to pare down so I could fit other stuff on. So yeah, I've managed to. I thought like two. I'll stick with two. So yeah, Water Down, which you heard earlier, which yeah, as we were saying, it's just one of those tracks that was a lot. Definitely one to play live. Same with Surrounded by Idiots. It's kind of. I don't want to say an anthem, but it's kind of the anthem.
Yeah, it's that one that was synonymous with them post their album coming out. You
Yeah,
know, they always played it. It was one of the few songs that was on the marquee jukebox
oh,
for Vanilla Pod, and would normally get put on a sort of mid to late Saturday night, Friday night, and the people in the know would be singing along.
yeah,
You know, and that was how you do the sort of the punk regulars that would come
yeah,
in every week and go to all the gigs because they knew the Vanilla Pod song.
yeah.
You know, and then normally followed by someone putting on Kicking Pigeons by Sponge,
God.
as was tradition.
Yep, that's just tradition.
But yeah, it's definitely their sort of the one for me for Vanilla Pod. I'm like, this song sums up them as a band.
Yeah,
It's bouncy, it's fun, it's true and gritty as well at the same time.
yeah,
It's just like everything about the DIY punk scene, especially for us, be it, in Norfolk or even in East Anglia if you want to go sort of a bit further afield. But this synonymizes everything that you're about with our real records, everything the marquee was about with, putting on local bands every other day,
yeah,
you know, proper sort of grassroots shows. In theory, this podcast is a sort of platform for bands that people don't know.
yeah.
This was that sort of synonymous with all of it, and it just such a good song. You know,
Yeah,
I was gonna say if you hadn't have picked it, I may have sneaked it in.
Quick little side note. So there's a lyric in the song that talks about uh, Busted and Avril Lavigne, and I've never seen their faces in the fanzine.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, I used to write a fanzine called Kill Your Own, and I put their faces in it just to fuck with Vanilla Pod. Just with a little note saying that, saying how you've never seen their faces in the fanzine. Well, now you have. Just because I thought it'd be cute and funny.
Oh, you the stirrer.
Yeah, I try.
So you are following that one up with Saturday Night, which again,
Yeah,
another
this
and
is sort of the next chapter. So Surrounded by Idiots came out in 2003, and the band was a bit quiet for a while. And the next album didn't come out until 2009, which was Poets on Payday. But Saturday Night was originally on a compilation released the year before called Gangster's Corner, and they then cleaned up, re-recorded it for the album. So yeah, it'd been 5 years between their last album coming out and this track coming out. So it was kind of almost like, I don't know, it was weird. It was, I mean, it's the same band, but it kind of felt like I didn't think they were going to release anything else. I kind of thought they were giving up, and then this sort of seemed to kickstart their next run of stuff, like when Shawn Michaels came back after the back injury.
mm,
Just for any wrestling fans out there. So
it
yeah,
has to be a
this was,
wrestling reference with you, doesn't it?
of course, of course. So yeah, this felt like when Shawn Michaels came back from the back injury, and then you're like, oh man, stuff's great. I didn't think it would be great, but it's great.
The thing is that with them though, they never sort of really went away though,
No,
because
they just
as
kind
you
of,
said, there was
yeah,
always, you know, there every 3 or 4 months they'd have a show in the Marquee or a show at the ferry boat. Probably had shows elsewhere around the
yeah,
county every so often as well. So
yeah. I
they
think
never
I just kind of felt,
left.
sorry,
It just there was just never anything new. It was always one of
yeah,
those doing anything new? No, just same old, same old.
yeah, exactly. It just kind of felt like, okay, this is it. They're just gonna this is the set now, and we're just gonna hear this until the band give up. So yeah, it was a nice surprise when the first time you hear, so this is a new song, and you're like, holy crap, new one?
Yeah. And then following that with Wishing Well.
Yeah, which is a track from the 2015 mini album Seeing Out the Sunrise, which, judging by the name, I always assumed they were planning on splitting up then,
Mm.
because the title Seeing Out the Sunrise kind of, makes me think of, cowboys getting on their horses and riding off into the sunset. So I kind of felt at the time that maybe they were starting to toy with the idea of splitting up. And that was, that was 3 years ago. And yeah, this track Wishing Well is from that.
So I haven't seen them in the last few years, so this one was a very much a new one on me when you sent it over, and I was like, ooh, ooh, they've been doing stuff recently that's actually really quite good still.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's one of those of I wish I had have seen them more recently to see this live.
yeah.
But yeah, so we have Surrounded by Idiots, Saturday Night, and Wishing Well, and then we'll be back very shortly with a little bit more. So we are back, and it is that time of the show where Ian, it's coming up to Christmas. You know you've got stuff to fill people's stockings with from our real records.
I
Tell
do.
them how, what, and where.
So, Our Real Records is a small, very independent, and by that I mean I do everything myself, very independent record label based out of East Anglia. I like to think I release a lot of really good music, mostly of the punk, acoustic punk, uh, heavier rock side of things. Some of my most recent releases include Husk, the debut album by Goldblum. And I know Chris has played some of their stuff on this very podcast before.
I have, and I'm still waiting to actually listen to the whole album.
That's because I
It's
need to send it to you. Remind me later.
there's that, and it is also saved on my Spotify list, but I just
Cool.
haven't had a chance to listen to anything new this week.
That's fair enough, but it is there. It's on Spotify, iTunes, and the website is real-records.co.uk, where you can buy CDs, vinyl, and stuff like that.
And also, as I haven't told you yet, one of because it's still in competition. There's 3 albums that are in competition. one of my top three albums of the year will be off your record label with the
Tragical History Tour.
wonderful Tragical History Tour album.
Excellent. I thought you might have picked that one. It's such a great album and such an album. I was just, I mean, I'm honored to work with all my stuff, but especially Tragical History. So Derek runs his own label. He doesn't need my help. He's a very driven human being. He could do it without me, and I was so honored that he wanted me to be a part of it because he's
Yeah,
such a talented person, such a wonderful human, and it's such an amazing album.
as I said, sort of looking back over the shows for this year, I think that was one of my favorite shows. Thanks to you, get sort of making it happen. Was when I had Derek on and we chatted for like 2 and a bit hours
Yeah,
of just where he's been, how he came about, his influences, his other bands, getting that debut album out, sort of breaking down some of the songs, and to be fair, since you sent it to me, it has been in constant rotation on my playlist. I bought a physical copy of it because I love it so much.
yeah,
It is top three. It's that Ghost and Perfect Circle fighting
awesome.
it out at the minute
Man,
on
that's
which one's number
that's
one, but
yeah,
they
that's a
change
very
constantly.
yeah, it's very lofty heights to be associated with those two.
So yeah, you know, though I hear upon the yonder of the interwebs that we may be getting number 100 from the label numbers soon.
So yeah, my 100th release, which is coming out after the 106th, but the 102nd isn't out yet because these things never work out how I plan. Anyway, so the 100th Ara Records release will feature bands on the label covering other bands on the label. It's just going to be a free download. It's going to come out mid-December to tie in with my Christmas gig, which is Thursday the 13th of December at the Blue Moon in Cambridge. And yeah, Tragical History to covers Tim Holhouse, which
Ooh.
uh, which sounds great. And I've there's a video for that which we've shared around. That's kind of the only track people have heard yet. But little bit of news for you. There is and solo MC. Well, I say solo. Me and Alex from my band False Adults have done an MCI pod reworking of Chip Off the Old Shit Block by the Tagnuts, which is one of the first
Mm.
things I ever released, which was a ska punk track, and we've turned it into a jungle track.
Nice.
So that's yeah, that's on there as well. There's all kinds of cool stuff, and some of it's not the most well recorded stuff. Some of it's basically bedroom demos, but it's just a celebration of the label and the fact that somehow it got to 100 releases just fueled on caffeine and caffeine.
But it's the thing, I always look back at your label and go, some of the bands that have come off it that I absolutely love. Obviously getting me into Tragical History Tour, the Tim Hall House stuff, Gravedale High, who, for me are old school, like, because there's a massive fan of the Misfits.
Yeah,
They're probably the best small time horror punk band the UK has had. Obviously, your stuff with, I think my first one of yours was the split EP with This Means War.
which is the second thing ever released on the label.
Sort of, so going back that old school. Um, there's uniforms, there's ducking punches stuff. You know, the amount of amazing local bands that you've had, a, even if it's just a small part with, to get out there and share with the world, all from your flat is
Yep.
amazing, and you know it's that sort of can do attitude which is great and always impresses me with you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's always nice to hear. But yeah, it's the same thing with you. The whole this will make a good podcast. I'm gonna do it, and that's why I like doing stuff like this because it's that same mentality we all have of do you know what I would like a record label that releases this I will do it. Do you know what I would like a podcast where people chat shit and bring a bunch of songs. Let's do that, and it's what makes the punk scene so great. That DIY can, as you said, can do spirit, where you're
Mm,
just like, sod it, I'm just going to do it. And if it doesn't work, oh well, sod it, we tried.
that is true. So, obviously, with the Festivus coming up, other than the amazing musical things that they can get on Aria Records, is there anything else that you've got in there that is cluttering up the house that you need shut off? It's the perfect time to get rid of it all.
Oh
Christmas.
yeah. Well, I will probably end up having some sales at the start of December. I normally do, just to try and clear some stock. So let's have a look at my shelf and see what I've got lots of. Lots of Mega Ran extra credit on cassette, lots of them. Lots of MC iPod Prom Night 2002 CDs, lots of Bono 7 inches. So, that's just a few things you can expect to find in a sale in December because I
That
have
being
a lot
said,
of them.
I need to get around to get one of those Mega Ran ones, but I don't have
Oh,
anything to play it on. That's the problem. That's why I never
yeah,
got it in the end.
it's a cute little release, and I love cassettes, but I do understand that a lot of people can't look at it and go, a tape? The hell is this? 1985. So I completely understand when people look at it and go, "That's cute," but I'm not buying one.
That being said, I did buy your Lego figure just because I was like, I, I only actually wanted it to hear your to actually have a recorded version of Real American. But I still bought the Lego figure.
Nice. But you have to admit though, they were pretty sweet.
Yeah,
So for
but
those listening at home, I got very limited. I think it was 10, only 10 MC iPod Lego figures made, which had my logo printed on the torso, and were wearing like a baseball cap and looked like me. And it came with a
and
download code of 4 covers of wrestling theme songs because this is me.
and that is why we love you so.
Yeah.
So, little bit of housekeeping for the podcast going forward for the rest of the year. So we will be doing the shows with the Now Boys at some point. The playlists are there and ready to go. It has just been technical issues. I think because they're Norwich based, I'm just going to end up sort of going to the pub and doing it in the pub quietly with them in a corner somewhere to get that done. Um, Kid Dog Neil is coming on to do an Anthrax special soon. We have confirmation from Eric is coming back. Jiggy Sun is coming back. Tyler is coming back. Rory's coming on to do the Christmas special. And obviously, end of the year will be the 2-part albums of the year specials as well. So we have got plenty set for the rest of the year. And there may even just be some extra bonus ones where if I've gone, oh, I really like this song slash songs, and go, fuck it, I'm making a playlist and playing it now. So there's always the off chance to have midweek shows going up as well as the constant weekend shows. So we are going to end today with another 2 wonderful Vanilla Pod songs. First
Yep.
up, Deflugs.
So yeah, Deflugs is also off the Seeing Out the Sunrise mini album from 2015, and it's one of those tracks that, even though it's from that later period of Vanilla Pod, became one of the songs you really wanted them to play when they played live, and they did, and it was great. And it kind of became like an integral part of the Vanilla Pod canon, even though
Mm.
it's like 20 plus years into their career. But it's just so good. It shows that they were still the great songwriters that they always were, and it's just nice when a band can have that new song that becomes an integral part of the set instead of just playing the old hits.
Yeah, it's one of those of you see it a lot with bands when they get to a certain period where they will fall back on the safe staple of
Yeah,
10 songs or so that you always get the same ones, and it's like, we've seen you play these ones in the same order so many times. It's one of those things of like, I know it's a very different sort of thing, but when I saw Slayer recently, they chucked out Ditto Head and Payback for the first time in like 15 years since like one of the first times I saw them. They hadn't played those songs. When you've got a band that has Live Vanilla Pod that can just go, oh, do you know what, we'll chuck this one in,
yeah,
or we'll chuck this one in, and because they don't play them all the time, would be great. And yeah, obviously listening to this, 'cause obviously, as I said, newer stuff I hadn't heard before you sent it to me. I was like, yeah, that could have fit in at any period of
Yeah,
time
yeah,
of seeing them and just been a staple in that set list.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that is a really, really awesome song. And you are finishing it with
I am
GOB.
finishing it with GOB, the last track on the last ever Vanilla Pod release, which is a 7-inch called Goodbye My Love, which is released on a whole bunch of labels, including RL Records, which I was very honoured to be a part of, because not only are they one of my favourite bands, they're some of my favourite people, and the fact that they wanted sort of a hand-selected bunch of labels that they respect to get involved in it, and they wanted me to be a part of it. It was just, yeah, it was awesome. It was really nice when they spoke to me about that, and of course I was chomped at the bit to be involved in it. So this is GOB, which if you know what it stands for, you know, and if you don't know, you don't know. And it is the last ever song by Vanilla Pod, which still feels a bit weird saying that because they've kind of been. I mean, they formed in 1995. They've been a band for 23 years. You know, it's a. Well, I mean, I'm 34, so for like way more than half my life, Vanilla Pod have been a band, and it
Yeah.
just feels weird thinking I'm never going to see them again, and they're never going to write and release new songs, which yeah, I think I'm still coming to terms with a bit.
It's one of those of because they were ever present,
Yeah,
them to then not be is just one of those of oh shit, that really is it.
yeah, no,
They did
exactly
it.
that. It's yeah, they were so sort of ubiquitous with East Anglian punk rock. You just kind of think, yeah, that's not going to happen again.
Yeah, as I said like earlier on, first time I saw them, they were just opening up as local support for Less Than Jake.
Yeah,
When I was working in the Marquee, every couple of months they'd be playing in the back room, and
yeah,
it'd be a case of if I wasn't working, I'd just go and see them. If I was working, I'll what time are they on? I'll go and do a glass collection around that sort of time.
yeah,
It was one of those of they were always omnipresent.
yeah, and yeah, to think that just like the Marquee, they are no longer exist. They no longer exist.
Mm. It is sombering and but at least they've gone out because obviously listening to GOB, I was like that is a banging song to if that
Yeah,
is it and that's the end of the chapter.
yeah,
You
that's the end
know,
of the book, not just the chapter.
yeah, it's a great sort of note to go out on, and especially with the playlist that you picked, opening up with the first ever song, finishing it with the last ever song, you know, as an introduction to Vanilla Pod, you've hit all the boxes and very much so have ended it well.
Yeah,
So,
I'd put a fair amount of thought into this.
and it tells.
Yeah,
So it only leaves me to again thank you for coming on, and as always, you're welcome back whenever.
awesome. Well,
Probably
thank
be
you for having me. And again, it's been an absolute pleasure.
as I said, we'll get you back on in the new year for some weird and wonderful stuff of all over the place.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, Obviously, you did forget to mention you do have that new side project of some wrestling music that you're making.
Yeah, well, not necessarily making, but so I started another record label called Concerto Records that just releases indie wrestling themes. So if that's your bag, then yeah, look it up. It's a weird passion of mine is the music of professional wrestling. So being able to help in some way by releasing otherwise unreleased theme songs of indie pro wrestlers, such as well, I've released 4 so far, including theme songs for Chuck Mambo, the activist Mauro Chavez, Peter Nixon, and Norwich's very own UK Pitbulls.
So yeah, just some extra strings to that bow of the ever-growing enterprise of Ian.
Yeah.
So until next time, enjoy and yeah, get on Vanilla Pod and get on Ariel Records and buy some stuff. Ian needs to, have some Christmas money.
Yeah, I got rent to pay.
And until next time, goodbye.
Thanks a lot, man.